20s can be a very scary time. You feel you're not a teenager anymore. You're not a kid. So there's certain things that are expected of you, but you also don't have the experience to actually do anything with it. And so you're like in this weird in-between phase and you're trying to find your purpose. I'd say for myself, I was a personal trainer for a couple of years. Prior to that, I was scrambling, not sure what I wanted to do with my life. Now I'm running an AI software company with 10 employees. And so I think when I look at that journey, none of it was linear, but the ambitious nature of myself and the desire was always there.
The Move Forward Everyday podcast. We all get 24 hours in a day to have freedom, to experience joy. What is important to you? Who are you? And what makes you happy? Welcome to the Move Forward Everyday podcast. I'm MaryRuth Guillaume, the founder and CEO of MaryRuth Organics. And today is a very special day. We have one of my very favorite young adults. How old are you, David?
26.
So I have a very special place in my heart for high school, college, any young adult in their 20s. It is my absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. I have known you since you were 9 years old, which is incredible. So way over 10 years. Like, what are we, 15, 16?
20.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I am so proud. I remember there was a period when I probably saw you, there was a gap in between when I had seen you last in New York City and then you coming to LA. And I remember one dinner with a bunch of our friends, I thought, oh my goodness, like you are now an adult. And also, not only that, I have been so proud this year to invest. So you are the founder of Commander AI, as well as the host of the Success Series podcast. And I am an investor in very few companies, but knowing you since you were young, you are the son of one of my mentors who has helped me so much in my life, learn how the universe works, how life works, spirituality. I knew when you were going to launch your business, start your business, that I definitely wanted to invest. And I'd like for you in a moment to share a little bit about your company with us. But the main thing about the podcast that we've been going through, this is our 4th podcast. It's worth saying that for all the listeners, the whole reason, I was just explaining to David before he came over my house, the whole reason that we do this podcast is it's short. Sometimes it's 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, is that after the podcast, our intention is that you will sit with yourself and really reflect, like write down. It could be in your iPhone notes. It could be in a journal. It could be on paper. But like the whole reason we're doing this is hopefully that the people who are listening are able to create a morning and nighttime routine, learn about time blocking, learn about the art of health for busy people, learn about the compound effect. I love the idea of the compound effect. And today just feels very meaningful to me. I have shared before with a lot of people in my life, in my personal and professional life, that at a young age, I lost my dad and my 17-year-old brother. My 17-year-old brother, Daniel, he was a football player in high school, played baseball, played basketball, really just so incredible, tall and responsible like you are. And so it has just been very rewarding for me to watch you do all the things that you're doing and adapt some of these tools. I really love to pay it forward. And so young adult males, because of just losing my brother, are very near and dear to my heart. So without further ado, we would love to hear anything that you would like to share about your life, who you are, and of course, your business. And then we will get right into me asking you some questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, you've been not just a mentor, but somebody who I reference in conversations with friends, with investors, with colleagues. So I very much appreciate you and thank you for having me on. A little about myself. I grew up in a spiritual organization with my parents who now lead it. And so seeing that around me from a very young age, always gravitated towards spirituality and business, which a lot of the people that were in our community and our core group of friends were pursuing both. And so for me, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur one day, whether it was going to be in spirituality or in business. I knew the two would intertwine eventually, albeit why I started the Success Series podcast. And as you mentioned, my company, Commander AI, which you are an investor in, and I'm grateful for that. We help waste management companies, of all things, sell in a more efficient way. We do so leveraging AI. And so companies will come in, they're used to pen and paper, old school ways of selling, from door knocking to writing things down on an Excel sheet. And we've taken the best in AI technology to help them find the right decision makers, engage customers online, not in person, and streamline their ways of doing work. And so we're super excited to do that. We've scaled over the last
Yeah.
18 months.
I was going to say that you're really growing, you're really scaling.
We are, and we just hired employee number 10.
Yeah.
And we just closed a large seed round with some venture capital, which we'll be announcing soon as well. And so just grateful to be here and happy to dive into that.
That's incredible. And can you remind me exactly when you first started it?
Yes, I had the idea in the sauna in February of 2024. So just about
Okay.
16 months since
All right.
ideation.
I just would like to say out loud that it's incredible that you're growing so fast. Like you said, 16 months is still like infancy stage.
Yeah.
And to have like 10 team members, that's incredible.
We're super
Great
excited.
job.
Thank you.
Okay, so will you share with us, please, your morning and nighttime routine? Anything you want to say? If there's like an ideal version, and then usually when it gets scaled back, if you have a very busy morning or anything you want to share about your morning and nighttime routine with us, please.
Totally. So I'll start with when I was in my teenage years, non-existent. When you and I first started talking more often, and you mentioned time blocking to me, it helped structure throughout my entire day, including my morning. Naturally, I'm sort of very ambitious, and I don't know if I have ADHD, but I'm oftentimes all over the place. And so it was hard for me to create a structure, especially in the morning. And so now what I do, the first thing when I wake up, I'll ground myself, whether it's talking out loud to the creator, whether it's journaling something, just a few minutes, not with my phone, not with my computer, to just breathe and regulate my system. From there, I'll follow with some sort of prayer, some sort of physical activity, whether it's going for a walk, going for a run, going to the gym. And then about an hour into that, I'll start my workday. And then before nighttime, I always sauna. It's something that I've learned.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I used to do it in the morning time, but now when I do it in the evening,
I
notice
better.
my whole nervous system's regulated. I fall asleep a lot easier. I'll do the same meditation, talk to the creator before I go to bed. And I'll also write down my entire next day. And I've learned that when I write, which I...
Yes. That one we're going to come back to again, because that is... I'm going to let you finish, but I'm going to come back to that.
Awesome. Because I used to leave everything for the following day, and I'd feel overwhelmed with all these little things that I noticed. If I just write it down the day before, one, I wake up with more ease and no stress. But secondly, I realize there's not that many things on my plate. It always feels overstimulating when you're like, I have to do all of these different things. But one thing that I learned from you was, even if it's like get lunch and pick up this and go do that errand, write all of that down, because it clears clutter in the mind, which I do every night.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So one call out and then a second reference that you made. So if the only thing, for everyone listening, if the only thing you take away from this podcast, and I haven't really heard people say it back to me. So far, even just day-to-day life, how's time blocking going? How's morning and nighttime routine? But you said something that I always say and cannot stress enough. And then I'll talk about where I also learned it from. So you said that the day before, and this is why I'm slow rolling this, because this is really make or break energy the day before. And so what I always say when I'm teaching quarterly time blocking sessions at MaryRuth Organics, I say to the team, just even if you could do it even before 4 p.m., even if you're doing it later, that's fine. But like what I always teach is that after 4 p.m., people's cortisol is not in the best ideal place, or when the sun has already gone down, it might be actually too overstimulating to the person, be like, oh my gosh, tomorrow I have to do this and this and this. Right. So I always just kind of say, okay, the day before, and hopefully before 4 p.m., if you're able in your iPhone notes, or now even AI has so many time blocking tools, or writing it down, which we should talk a little bit about, because I am still very much in the writing phase. Knowing what you need to do the day before, it reminds me of athletes or Olympic athletes who are visualizing what they need to do. And I read, whether it was in Inc. magazine or honestly, I don't remember where, but a couple of years ago, I read that like the best leaders or CEOs, they actually look at the day before what they need to do the next day and visualize themselves doing it, as well as accepting the day before that someone's going to interrupt them. It might not go their way. It might fall apart. But just because, like you said, they can see that there's 3 or 4 main meetings or things they have to do that they can't really push. If they wake up and their child is sick, or they don't feel well, or their car has a flat tire, or they got bad news, it's still less overwhelming, because they still kind of have those benchmarks. Like, okay, like even though I got derailed now, I knew since yesterday in my mind's eye that this is what I kind of have to make it through. Like even today, I already knew. I saw you on Saturday. I said, okay, like I was already kind of thinking about it. I'm like, David's going to come to my house on Monday at 2:00. He's not
in the middle of the day.
No, literally. And we're going to be in and out by 3. But like just even knowing that that's what's happening allows it to kind of go in less friction.
Totally.
So very nice call out. Can you explain a little bit about just like when you're doing that? Even if
Sure.
you're doing it late at night, it's fine. But like
Yeah.
when are you kind of visualizing the next day?
Totally. So to your point, I don't like to do it right before I go to bed, because then I
Too
notice that
much.
one of your thoughts are now already in the next day, which you need to sleep and have REM sleep,
Yeah.
which you can't do
Yes.
if you're. So what I do is I'd say about an hour and a half to 2 hours before I go to bed. I usually go to bed around 10
Perfect.
o'clock on the average night.
Perfect.
So around 8 o'clock. And I'll do similar. What I haven't done yet, though, is actually visualize things not going right in that day. And I've noticed when I'm traveling, I can be a little bit more meticulous about it. So let's say I was just in Chicago this past week
Yes.
for an investor meeting.
Yes, I
You don't have your
remember.
right, and you don't have your schedule, and you don't know what's going to come the next day. But like you said, I tie the core things. So I have a list. I rank it. I say like these are the must get done, and these are like the if I have time to
And you
get
could
done.
keep pushing it to the next day or the next day or the
Exactly.
next week, which yes,
Yes.
continue. So
Yeah.
then, so when you were traveling, you were saying,
So I'm traveling.
Mhm.
I'm in the hotel. I'm like, okay, do I have a gym that I can access? Yes, but it's a couple blocks away, so that's going to take more time than usual. Can I still connect the way that I do with a meditation? I'll have a shortened period of time.
Mhm.
So I still try to make the things work, but I'm able to modify them. So
Me too.
right. And so it's like, let's say I have to do this one thing. It takes me an hour usually, but now I only have 45 minutes for it. And so I'll still do everything that I have to do
No,
to
so
regulate
good.
myself, but I might not give as much time to do so.
So you said something else. I have a favorite saying. It's on the cover of the Time Blocking Journal. Structure creates freedom. So do you feel, this is what I believe, but
Yeah.
you can tell me what your belief is.
Totally.
So I believe everybody wants the freedom to do the things that they love or use their gifts or be in service to people in the way that they know is in alignment with their soul or their purpose in life. So structure creates freedom. And I'm sure you have friends like this who say, this is my favorite thing. They say, oh, I just like to kind of like fly by the seat of my pants.
Right.
And I empathize. I understand, like they're saying that they're a free spirit and they just kind of want to like take life as it goes. But I always like to share with people who ask when there's an organic opening.
Sure.
I like to say structure creates freedom. So by having structure, do you agree as a 20-year-old young male adult that you still have freedom? Because the way that I see it,
Yeah.
for me as a busy mom of 4 young kids, is that because I can see what is supposed to happen, if I have an opportunity to do something really fun with them, because I already see it, I could just move it to a different spot without my anxiety going crazy.
Right.
And then I actually have the freedom to be like tonight I'm coaching Elliot's basketball team.
Right.
And that's hard for me to leave work at 3:45 every Monday. But because I have kind of the time blocking and the understanding of what's on the list, I have the freedom now, which is what I really just want to do,
Right.
to go coach his team. So can you speak on your personal experience of like still being free, but do you find that the structure allows you to adapt or have freedom?
Yeah. So I'd answered in twofold. I'd say I feel like I'm creating structure in my 20s now so that I can have the freedom that I want to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 and on. And so I view it more that way. It doesn't feel like I'm sacrificing much now though, because I love what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
I'd say the structure helps with the anxiety. I wouldn't necessarily call myself free now because we're still in infancy stage, as you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So
There's that freedom.
I can't call it freedom because it's like if I do that, the ventures are pulling out, like our
No,
customers are falling off the platform.
No.
But yes,
So
like the
well
ability to come
articulated.
here. Yeah, but the ability to come here on 2 p.m. on a Monday and know that my employees in the office are doing what they have to do so that I can be here. It might mean that I stay till the office at 7 o'clock tonight, but this is part of the structure. It's like, I'm going to do this at 2 p.m. and I may do whatever I had to do at 2 p.m. later tonight.
No.
And that's okay.
So well articulated. And actually, you also called out another point that I always think about, but I haven't gotten to speak about on the podcast. You specifically said, which is actually what it feels like for me.
Okay.
You said that it might lower your anxiety. And I think that that's actually what it helps me do also as a working mom. There can be a lot of anxiety.
Right.
And I do think that it helps a lot.
Totally.
So you also said that you mentioned the way you frame like sleeping and your I don't know if you said your full nighttime. Yeah, you said sauna.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so you said something in there I want to go back to. You just said that ever since you started doing the sauna before bed, you are like regulated more. You could fall asleep, stay asleep. Were you struggling at any point in your life with your sleep? And if you were, we want to hear about it because so many people, myself included in the last 2 years, I made it to 39 years old, 0 sleep problems. Then I went through, as a lot of listeners know, I went through a divorce.
Yeah.
And for 2 years, I really didn't sleep. But it was so foreign to me because 39
Just like
years,
all
I
your
didn't.
whole life,
Oh,
right?
my goodness.
Wow.
So I want to hear.
Yeah.
I'm doing much better now.
What is, yeah.
Yeah. So I just like a
Sure.
quick thing, a couple things that really helped
Yeah.
me. I think it was Huberman. I know. I think it's like a little controversial, but the point is, I read him. He wrote an article saying that taking a lot of creatine if you have insomnia
Sure.
is good.
Oh, I haven't
So
heard that.
he said 10. So I was taking 5 grams.
Okay.
And he recommends 10.
Sure.
But the 5 has already helped me so much. I didn't have to go to 10 grams of creatine a day. But the brain is a muscle.
Right.
Right? The brain is a muscle?
I believe so.
Sounds about right.
We'll have to, yes.
Sounds about right. But everyone understands the gist
Right.
that I saw him post something a couple months ago about insomnia related to creatine.
Okay.
And we also came out with the creatine sugar-free gummies that are launching in August, but I take a really great powder right now.
Sure.
I think that has totally helped. And I like frequency music, like cortisol. I don't know if you,
I haven't used them, but I've heard that they work really well. Yeah.
That really helps. And also one last thing that has really helped me is I heard that taking a deep breath is the fastest way to your nervous system. So breathing and doing kind of some breathing stuff at work helps me stay more calm. And thank goodness, from when we started the podcast till now, I'm sleeping much better. But please, can you share with us about when you were not sleeping so good?
Yeah. So I was sleeping horribly. For me, it was the flip, like the first 21 years of my life.
Wow.
With the exception of my early adolescence, but when I was a teenager in high school and college, but also my whole schedule was wacky. So I was going to bed at, 1:00 in the morning, trying to get up at 7, 8 o'clock to go to school. The whole structure of it was wrong. And I was also not really taking care of myself and partying like a lot of college kids do. And so I think that played a detriment to it. What I learned was, though, that the earlier that I go to bed at night, the better I'll sleep, regardless of the duration of time. So if I go to bed from 10 and I wake up at 5, I'll feel more well-rested than if I went to bed at 1 and woke up at 11, right? Even though the duration of time was longer.
I said on the very first podcast, and I want to share it again because maybe someone didn't hear the first podcast, that the hours between 10 and 2 a.m. are double the hormone healing sleep.
Wow.
So even some amazing cancer doctors will tell people to be asleep by 10, because 10 to 2 a.m., again, it counts as double the hormone healing sleep for your cells and your whole body.
Wow.
So it makes sense. You just said if you go to bed at 10, you wake up at 5, 7 hours. Yeah, because that is really good sleep.
Wow.
Okay, tell us how you got into the infrared sauna.
Yes. So I was staying...
Is it infrared?
It's infrared.
I just assumed. You said sauna, but I assumed.
Yes. Infrared sauna. I've used both. The effects to me feel tremendously better with an infrared. It's on all fronts.
Also, can I say why?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a long-winded way, but someone once told me infrared sauna is heating the body from the inside out. So really purging all those toxins
going
inside out versus other is in... like outside in.
Right.
That's why you feel,
Interesting.
So how did you find out about it?
So I was going through a stressful time. It was a couple years ago, and I went with a friend to, I think it was like a local spa or something of sorts, saunaed, and instantly felt relieved. Like I left and I said, I feel euphoric. I feel high. I feel more relaxed than I've ever felt before. And I started taking the routine of doing it once a week, then once every other week. And then at some point I said, this must become a daily thing. And so now I have one in my apartment and I go every single night, easy access before I go to bed. This is amazing. And it's the greatest thing.
Also wanted to say I'm sure everyone can look it up on ChatGPT, but there are like crazy studies done, right, about longevity,
right,
and sauning even just once a week,
right?
Something like
10 years on your life.
Something like if you sauna once a week, you're going to live for 10 years longer, right. Or something like if you sauna even just once a week, there's a 40% reduction in illness.
Right. Of all like the major stuff, which is incredible.
And for those of you who may not have heard of like the modality of sauna or infrared sauna, the skin is the largest organ of the body. It's crazy. And I always say this, like when people are going to put different creams, maybe some like lotions are more toxic than other lotions, but I always say, would you want to eat that lotion? And if the answer is no, people should maybe get like an unscented lotion, because if they don't want to eat it, but when you put it
on your skin, your body's absorbing it just like you would food, right? So
so I wanted to call that out. Same thing with the sauna. It's so amazing when you're in there, largest organ is just help. It's like immediate detox.
Right.
So the things that are hurting you the most are getting pushed out through your skin. And if people are new to this idea of toxic load or buckets, a bucket, everybody's body's different. So people's toxins are kind of filling up the bucket.
Okay.
Every time you go in the sauna, you bring the toxic load down. And down and down. That's also when the toxic load goes too much. That's like you said yourself, it helps regulate your nervous system.
Right.
So that's when you didn't feel like yourself before the first sauna, the bucket was really
just off the charts,
really full.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why you had this like instant relief almost. Right. I think there was one more thing. I wanted to talk about sunscreens.
Yes.
Just like when you're talking, different things are coming to my mind. So we have a blog on non-toxic sunscreens. If anyone's curious, by the way, like everybody has free will to, but if it resonates with you and you kind of like this idea of like a little less toxic products, I had a non-toxic sunscreen that I loved using last summer. And then I saw an ad for another non-toxic brand and I just felt like I had to try it, even though I had been so happy with this other brand for a few summers.
Sure.
I have a favorite saying, it's best to go where the green lights are. So technically, I was already having so much success with this other sunblock. I should just continue to go where the green lights are and no need to reinvent the wheel or switch. And when you were talking, it came to my mind, what was so insane about this experience with the other non-toxic sunblock brand was as soon as I put it on my body, I tasted it in my tongue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Instantaneously.
Instantly, my whole tongue tasted like sunblock. So it means that it was probably non-toxic, but still more chemical blend potentially. And it goes right in the blend stream. So much so that it goes.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I wanted to share that. It's the number one question besides vitamins at MaryRuth Organics. The three most common questions we get are like, what's your favorite non-toxic sunblock? What's your favorite non-toxic cooking pans? And do you ship internationally? But anyways, I wanted to just throw that in there about the sunblock. So I want to switch now and have you share with us like time blocking in relationship to the compound effect, in relationship to maybe a task that you're not so excited about. So please give us a task that you're more excited about, something you do at work that you actually kind of enjoy. I love writing to the team on Slack.
Right.
I like the virtual water cooler channel. There's some things I love doing.
Totally.
Can you share like something in your life that you don't mind doing?
Yes.
And then a task you're kind of dreading. It could be current, past, future, whatever.
Yeah.
In relationship, and explain your version of what you think the time blocking or time blocking and compound effect.
Totally. I can, two things came to mind right away. So I'd say I love anything involved with people, whether it's talking to customers, talking to investors. I feel like the analogy that I would use is like I'm walking around with a wand and I can just like put a little fairy dust on things and it works, especially when it comes to customers. It's like one little tweak and now they're happy. And I love seeing that. So I always enjoy customer calls, onboarding customers, any success. When it comes to putting together pro formas, putting together Excel sheets, again, we don't have a full-time accountant, so that typically falls on me. And I despise all of that. And so it's like very mentally draining for me. I don't enjoy Excel sheets. I don't enjoy putting numbers on a paper. But what I do to your time blocking point is I do those things first thing in the morning. I've noticed that when I, right? And I push it out throughout the day, I have no energy for it.
No.
And then it gets dragged on and it doesn't compound. So it goes on to the next day, and I don't deal with it. What I've noticed is, okay, I'm going to put 30 minutes to just like build at least draft one of the pro forma. That'll take my first morning. I'm energized. I have the most energy throughout the day. The following day, it doesn't look as scary or daunting because I'm like, okay, well, the framework is already there. Now I just need to input a couple numbers. And then the third day, it's already done. Rather than like it's 6 p.m. on Thursday afternoon.
No.
Right? And the weekend's coming up and now I have to put together this pro forma that there's no way I'm getting done. So putting it first thing in the morning and chipping away at it rather than like tackling it all at once has been super helpful to me.
Do you find they say that people receive a positive dopamine hit when they complete a task that was difficult for them?
Totally.
Is it not?
It is the most rewarding
feeling ever.
Checking it off on my list.
It's almost like you can't believe you did it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And starting sometimes is the hardest part. Like you said, the Excel sheet. And I think that it's worth repeating that I myself, for years, I've had MaryRuth Organics for 12 years, have found myself at 5:45, 6 o'clock at night doing my least hardest task. And it's really brutal. And do you find that you could do it faster even in the morning? Because it's
Totally.
like deep work.
Yeah, also because I know that once I get this done, I can go to the things that I actually enjoy doing rather than if it's at the end of the day, there's nothing else beyond that. And so totally. It's like a speed run through it. Yeah.
Did you ever hear of Tim Ferriss from, it was more like my era
Okay.
when I was in my 20s like you.
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss wrote this absolutely viral book.
Okay.
This was even before social media, I think. It was called 4 Hour Work Week.
Okay.
But one of the main concepts in the book, this was in my 20s, so this is like 20 years ago,
Sure.
was he had a Post-it, and he would tell everyone, write on one side the one task, you got to do that you have to do, and the other side the other task you have to do, and then put it in your pocket, and you have to do one before lunch and one after lunch. But before Tim Ferriss, people weren't really thinking about tasks this strategically. And
Just
now,
doing them whenever
now we see like so many more ways of doing it. One thing I always say, which I definitely want to share on the podcast now, is never, ever, this is just my personal opinion through the pain and suffering of doing it the other way. I never think somebody should stay up late to do a task. It's better to just force yourself to go to bed and then wake up and do it right away. Because what happens, I notice, is if you force yourself to stay up to do a task, then you sleep really bad. And then the whole rest of the day is so mediocre because you don't really feel like yourself. Versus if you just surrender, like, shoot, I didn't get it done.
Right.
Like you said, can I go to bed at 10 and wake up at 5 and just be a little more rested and just get it done then? So I'm happy to hear that you kind of have these guardrails. Do the sauna. I feel like that's your off ramp.
Yes.
So another person who was helping me, a physical therapist who was helping me after I had like a leg injury when I gave birth to the twins, he said, like, MaryRuth, you need to have an off ramp. I feel like your whole day is just like kids in the business and then you're just trying to go to bed.
Right.
And your off ramp is, do you do sauna before or after your list?
Before.
Great.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. I feel like otherwise I'm in the thought of today, not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. And so like that helps me be more calm and at peace before I figure out what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Clear, or like calm, clear headed. And now I'm going to think about what I could do tomorrow because sweating is so good for the body.
Right.
Okay. Interesting. That's amazing. You do the sauna, feel better,
talk to the creator before I go to bed. And then also relinquish. And this is part of my talking to the creator God is like, whatever I didn't get done today, whatever I thought I should have manifested that I didn't, I'm letting go of it. I'm handing it over to you, which has worked like so well for me. I call like God my silent business partner. And it's like, I'm putting everything onto him as if he's my co-founder.
Yeah.
And then the next morning I'll wake up with like 4 emails, like this was resolved and that was resolved. And
no, that is amazing.
Yeah.
I think that is so important. And I definitely didn't learn that till much, like, I didn't know that at 26.
Good mentors around me, which is
again,
like you mentioned,
your mom and your dad.
Yeah. And you mentioned, right, like as a 20-year-old, like what's your North Star? Have the right people around you, business wise, spiritual wise. As a 20-year-old, you don't have any idea what you're doing. Like any 20-year-old founder that says they know what they're doing, I call them out on it. It's just there's no way. You haven't done it before. You're a 20-year-old punk. You just graduated from college,
first rodeo,
and now you're handling millions of dollars. It's like, have some humility. You know what I mean? Talk to somebody who's done it.
My gosh. Yeah. I saw on your Instagram stories today, it was just something really nice. It just said like, whoever you surround yourself with is the most important thing.
Right.
And I also believe that like the 5 closest people to you, I talk a lot about like energy or frequency.
Sure.
Yeah. The 5 closest people to you, you adapt their frequency and their energy.
Right.
And, it's amazing that these are things that are very clear to you. They're not abstract. It's really amazing.
I'm also Aquarius, so
I was gonna say it in the beginning of the podcast. I was gonna be like, and we're both Aquarius.
Yes,
it's amazing. I see the Aquarius in you.
Oh, you do?
Yes. That's why I almost said it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love the Excel sheet. I love that you, like you said, you lock it in. Do it 3 days in a row, then the task is done. Can you speak about what you think just whatever comes to your mind are your strengths and weaknesses.
Mm,
It could be multiple things. It could be one main thing. But when you hear strengths and weaknesses
right.
in your own journey, what do you think of?
Totally. I'll start with strengths, as everybody can always compliment themselves before
Yeah,
thinking of the
yeah.
inverse. But I think I'm great with people, which plays throughout every facet of business, whether it's hiring,
Yes.
whether it's investors, right? And if and you are as well, obviously. And so I think that's like front and center. I think second to that is my creative mind allows me to not think within the confines of what's been done before or what can be done. So for example, I'm 26, started it at 24 or 25 and a half, and people don't typically do this at my age. They don't tackle a legacy industry. They don't build an AI technology when they're not technical themselves. But all of those limitations weren't even a thought to me because I could see beyond all of it.
Mhm.
So I'd say like creativity and ability to relate to people would probably be, the top two things on my list. I think where I'm weak, and again, this becomes exploited in running a company. I think managing people was something that didn't come natural to me initially. I always feel like I can do it better than
Mhm.
anybody else, which maybe is an Aquarius thing.
Mhm.
And so being able to trust my employees and also not micromanage,
Yeah.
which I notice I do and I still do.
Yeah.
They're happy, thankfully. I'm always like
Yeah.
checking in. I'm also, and I think I'm too hard on myself. So I'd say those two things.
Yeah.
I'm too hard on myself, and I'm learning how to manage a team of 10 people rather than like force them to do what I would do. Like let them be creative because they also have their own skill set in areas that I don't.
No, this is so amazing. At MaryRuth Organics, we have what's called 360 reviews.
Okay,
I think you could try it.
sure.
It's just once a year. Everybody you work with anonymously reviews you, and they review each other anonymously. And
Okay.
it's so powerful. I argue that it's the most powerful feedback because it's anonymous. And, if let's say you have 10 people,
Sure.
if 7 people, you see like a common trait, it's just like letting it in. I always
Don't react to it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I always say we just had our 2-day quarterly retreat last week on Sunset in our Sunset office. And I said, like, we did all performance. So it was the annual, like, here's everybody's name for the leadership team, and here's what everybody's department says about everybody.
Wow.
And it's anonymous, but still,
Yeah.
like, it's right up there and everybody sees it. And I always say, guys, like, it's so painful sometimes to get
Yeah.
feedback, but it's okay. Like, let it in.
Wow.
And I want to say something
Yeah.
that I never got to share in any fireside chat or any other format, but this whole conversation is making me think of it. Would you agree that having a friendship or a relationship or father-son, mother-daughter, would you agree that you have to invest deeply in your friendships and your partners, or your investors are your partners? Would you say that having any one-on-one relationship, you have to invest in it?
Oh my, totally. I think I actually said this a couple of weeks ago. Without one or two close people in your life consistently, I think it's impossible to like manifest anything great,
Yeah.
including for sure a business, because it can be so isolating. And if you don't invest in it, it's not going to go anywhere. It's like you said, energy and frequency. If the energy's cut off, like where's the vessel for those two things to exist? Yeah.
And so when we're going through like 360 reviews, I always say in every all staff, every monthly, you could share this with your team if it resonates with you. I always say, like, acknowledging how like even families have to invest in each other. So I say, like, it's never going to be perfect. Like, we have 250 people at MaryRuth Organics.
Right.
You have a team of 10, which is exactly how I started. Like, I think in our 5th or 6th year, so we were much slower than you.
Yeah.
Like, we had like 10 people 5 or 6 years in. But I always say, like, no place is going to be perfect. But we have to, because think about how much energy just one-on-one is.
Right.
So then you get 10 people together.
It's a lot of energy.
Yeah. Or 10 kids. Like, if there's a mom listening and she's got her 5 or 6 kids and her family unit, same thing. Like, when you put 250 people together, there's going to be a little bit of friction or chaos. But what I always say is, like, this is so normal, but like, we have to be open to take feedback and just let it in. And we have like anonymous company suggestion box.
I was going to ask you, how do you aggregate the data? But that's a good,
so there's
like a little box you write in.
It's live, and I read
Wow.
it weekly. So it's been there for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So it's HR, it's anonymous.
Yep.
The team can put suggestions in, like, we want 4-day work week, like, just really, it's really good. We want earpods. Yeah, but it's all there.
I love it.
And that's amazing. And I read it every Friday. And the first year was really hard for me.
Sure.
But then I started to fix things slowly.
Yeah.
And then, like, I started to like it. And now, thank God, we don't get suggestions every single week. But in the beginning, it was like, we got it all the time, but the more feedback you let in, the more you correct it slowly, the less
to reduce. It's not as
yeah, it's so amazing. And then also what I shared just about 360 feedback.
I'm definitely going to implement that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I'm a little bit wary of it's like you
no,
don't like David. You know, that's
no. No, what's so amazing is like no matter what feedback that I've read, or even about the other leadership teams or the
Sure.
different departments, I always know there's even just one little percent that's true about the feedback. So I try to, even if I feel like the feedback might be like a little bit intense,
Sure.
I'm always like, all feedback, there's like a little, at least 1 to 5%
Right.
to 10%, if not all of it's true. And letting it in. I think one of I read about a company.
Yeah.
You and I will talk about it next time we're together.
Sure.
But there's another company that really took feedback like so well.
Okay.
And they grew quite well.
Wow.
And I think the same goes not just about business. We're saying on the podcast before I ask you the last question, but in families. You know, like families, friendships. It's okay. Just, I have a favorite saying, like, close the space. Like, as soon as you have space with someone, just like close the space.
Right.
And
Don't
then
let it linger.
probably learned it from your parents too.
Wow.
And the last thing before we end the podcast is it's 2-part question.
Sure.
So is there a challenge in your life that at the time you thought you weren't going to be able to overcome it? How did you overcome it? And then the second part of the question is anything you want to share with any other 20-year-old males, male or female, just young adults who are like you, trying to figure it out, trying to, find their passion, build their business, go to work, do a good job, anything. So first part, a certain challenge in your life that was difficult.
Okay. Yeah. I'd say, so 2 different things came to mind right away. One was getting our product right. It felt like every time we had fixed something, changed something, a new issue came up, customers gave this feedback, we'd fix that, then another customer would complain about this. And this was in sort of our beta and pilot testing phase. And I remember one day saying to myself, I'm like, we could solve every possible scenario here, but somebody else will have a problem with this. So how does this business ever get off the ground if every customer has a different concern? And Bill Ackman said this actually, and it also applied to our fundraising process, but he said, when everything feels out of control, just take little steps towards it every day, right? He was referencing, he was divorced, lost $1 billion.
I saw that video.
Saw it, right?
Yeah.
And that resonated. Maybe we should maybe clip it because that to me, I sent it to my whole team when I saw that because it really, you can feel the humility and authenticity in it. And it's like, he's like, everything was going wrong. And if I looked at the mountaintop, it was never attainable, but I made little progress every day. And in our fundraising journey, when I raised our first venture dollar, it was extremely challenging. Jeff Bezos said he had 40 rejections. I had 400. 400 after going through long diligence phases, months of work. And I basically was like, I've exhausted all of my connections. I've exhausted all the venture firms that I'm familiar with. And I had to surrender towards it. And what happened was all the ones that I initially received no's from eventually circled back around on their own, but once I let go of it. And so it was like, I had to do everything in my power and then surrender. And then they came back around. It's like, why didn't you come back around? You told me no. They said, it was like I had one venture firm that invested in us that said, after looking back at the previous data that you sent to us, we've decided that we want to reinvest and come back into this round. It's like, it's things that make no sense happen.
Wow.
So I'd say surrendering when nothing else makes sense to you and not trying to get there overnight, just take little steps towards progress. And
I think the little step thing is definitely a universal truth that I completely believe in because it's also the compound effect.
Right.
I've said it before, but that's also Kobe. Have you seen the Kobe Bryant clip?
Yes.
Where he says like everybody wants to be at the top of the mountain.
Right.
But the way that they're going to get to the top of the mountain is one step at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then the
second part was just any other closing thoughts, guidance, encouragement for anybody else in their 20s that probably is going through a lot of what you're going through.
Totally. 20s can be a very scary time. You feel you're not a teenager anymore. You're not a kid. So there's certain things that are expected of you, but you also don't have the experience to actually do anything with it. And so you're like in this weird in-between phase and you're trying to find your purpose. I'd say for myself, I was a personal trainer for a couple of years. Prior to that, I was scrambling, not sure what I wanted to do with my life. Now I'm running an AI software company with 10 employees. And so I think when I look at that journey, none of it was linear, but the ambitious nature of myself and the desire was always there. And so if you're 20, 21, 22, 20, whatever the age is, don't be focused on what it is that you're going to do with your life. Chase your desire, continue to ask questions, take every opportunity in front of you. Don't think you're too good for anything. I started as, an assistant for Mike Patterson and
yes,
right. And so just say yes. Don't think you're too good. Have humility. Be willing to learn, and your path will be sort of sought out for you. But don't think you have to have it all figured out.
This is so brilliant. We have all our interns in their 20s in the summer. Their last week is next week.
Wow.
And I love what you said, because also I was in real estate.
Right.
I was doing a lot of different things as well in my 20s. And I think what you're saying, and you could tell me if you agree, is like the path is it's going to unfold. You just have to keep working every 24-hour period, working whatever's coming to you, say yes, keep working, and then it's going to unfold.
Right. 100%.
Even from hearing you talk about your AI software, how all the customers in beta were like this. It's very inspiring. Totally. Thank you so very much for coming on our podcast, the Move Forward Everyday podcast. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.